Shit, are we really doing this? It's not that I don't like them, there's just so many. So then I made a list, wigged out, and categorized them by year, and I don't know. So that wasn't good enough. So I made another list, and I just don't know which ones to pick because they're all so good, and I like them all, and they're all so different. No. You're right. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I should definitely just get back to it and do the topic. I can do it, I promise. My ideas are organized. Here we go. Are you ready? Okay, but one more thing. At the end of the video, I'm planning on putting some really graphic and terrible ideas in there. So if you are easily disturbed, you're under the age of 18, maybe even 20, I don't suggest that you watch the movies that I'm going to name at the end of this. Now, the other ones are fine. Classic horror movies, comedy horror movies, what have you. But the stuff at the end of the video is really fucking serious, so I might just record another preemptive clip before that even, because listen, you guys, I'm into some sick shit. I can't help it. There's something wrong. Okay. Here we go. You ready? I hope you're ready. What's up, Carnival Spirits? It's your girl, Miss JynX, here again for Spirits Daily, Weekly, Monthly, Yearly, Ninjas in Action, as always. So, this week's topic, we are naming our favorite horror movies. Now, this includes, the really scary stuff and the really cheesy stuff and everything in between, before and after that. So, I made a little list for you today, and I'm just going to read some of them off here. I started out with probably 50 films, and I don't think you guys have that kind of time. So, I narrowed it down a bit, and we should be good to polish this topic off, if you will. Alright, so first up, we've got some classics from the 20s and the 30s. Nosferatu. Fucking creepy as fuck. So well done. One of the first of its kind. Just amazing. People hate on it because it's a silent film, but I really don't care. It's really super creepy, and it's awesome. Bela Lugosi's Dracula has got to be one of my all-time favorites, just because the goth kid in me loves Bela Lugosi, and Boris Karloff as well. And anything that those guys are in is sure to be fucking awesome if you like old school horror movies. Bride of Frankenstein is another one. And last but not least for this category, Freaks. Now, I absolutely love everything about this movie, including the fact that they had real live freaks in it. If you haven't seen it, I definitely suggest you check it out. It appeals to the Juggalo culture for sure. There's lots of really weird shit that goes on in it, and it's just a really cool movie all around. It's not particularly the scariest movie, but it's definitely cool visually, and the whole subject matter at hand is very interesting. For the second part of the list, I've got some movies from the 50s to the 80s, so it's a little bit of a broader spectrum, but guys, if I would have put down all the movies I originally wrote down, this would be a 45-minute video. So, moving on. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Absolutely fucking terrifying film. Are you kidding me? Night of the Living Dead, one of the first movies that genuinely scared me as a little kid. Definitely couldn't sleep. My dad put it on during the day, and it just totally wigged me out, and I made him shut it off because it just totally drove me nuts. Now I love it. Back then, oh hell nah. I used to have like nightmares for weeks and weeks about just zombies coming out of the woods. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Very fucking scary, my friend. The Reanimator movie. Basically put this one down just so I could go ahead and loop everything based on H.P. Lovecraft's literature. If you haven't checked him out and you're someone who likes to read, I definitely recommend the literature of H.P. Lovecraft. He is a true horror writer, and the man was a fucking crazy person. The only bad thing about writing back then is everybody's like a little bit racist, right? So just look that look that other way, and you'll like H.P. Lovecraft's writing. Everybody loves Cthulhu, right? Anyways, Child's Play, definitely one of my classics. Love Charles Lee Ray. Think the whole idea, the whole gimmick behind those films and that whole saga are just amazing movies. I love the humor and I love the blood and guts. And Chucky's just a little dickhead. It's really funny. So I don't know if that's more of a comedy or a standard horror movie. I guess that's kind of the vibe from back then with your Chuckies and your leprechauns and your Freddies, you know, whereas Jason and Michael were just kind of the strong, silent types, right? Moving on, Evil Dead, easily one of my favorite films. Bruce Campbell is a legend. He is so funny and so talented, and I'd love to see, you know, more kind of scary movies from him in the future. Obviously, the whole franchise is a hit, but I'd like to see something updated. Too bad his show got canceled, but you know, it happens. Hellraiser, definitely love Hellraiser and the whole series. The Cenobites have a special place in my heart. They kind of hit that weird little goth nail on the head. And I enjoy them, and they're really fucking weird and gross, and they like leather, so hey, that's what's up, man. Last but not least on this list is Pet Sematary. Now, this movie disturbed me in a really weird way because at the time that I saw it, I never really imagined the concept of someone coming back with their full consciousness, you know? Of course, they're evil and they're a little bit different, but the idea of someone being able to come back to life with their full consciousness, like, blew my mind. Hell no. Because zombies are one thing, right? Unless you've got the freaky, like, Resident Evil zombies. I'm not getting into that debate, but it's kind of creepy to think that they could come back to life and have their full consciousness. Not that they really were zombies, maybe they were more of the undead, but you get the picture. Anyways, moving on. Okay, next up, I've got my list from the 90s and the 2000s. Now, again, this is a little bit more of a broad list. I did not have it in me to torture you guys with like 100 movies, so from Dusk Till Dawn, easily one of my favorite movies. Candyman, easily one of my favorite movies. Cube. If you haven't seen Cube, it's pretty underrated and it's really fucked up, so definitely recommend checking that out. What else do I have here? It, of course. Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love Tim Curry? Who doesn't love Stephen King? On the Stephen King tip, also Misery is another one of my favorites. Now, while I don't find it particularly scary, it is definitely fascinating, and I do love the special effects and stuff that they have in that. 28 Days Later. Speaking of crazy, super smart, weird zombies, yeah, that's fucking terrifying. Imagine them running full speed ahead. Okay, no thanks, don't want any of that. The ABCs of Death. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you haven't checked out the ABCs of Death 1 and 2, definitely give them a look. They're kind of along the same lines of like a Trick or Treat or something, almost, you know, Tales of the Crypty, where you have just little segments of stories, A through Z, and it was basically a big collaboration of filmmakers. Indie filmmakers submitted all of these ideas, and they are phenomenal. I'm sure you would love it if you haven't checked it out, so definitely give that one a look, or those two a look. Moving on, the VHS series. Now, it's very similar to the ABCs of Death, however, there's not really a strict theme, so without spoiling too much, I'll just say that there's a lot of little things that tie together, and they are really, really bizarre, and I think you guys would love those a lot. last on my 90s and 2000s list is House of the Devil. Now, this movie is a little bit confusing because it comes off as kind of a 70s, 80s horror movie vibe. It's really clever the way that they shot it. It's all very retro, and even the music and everything else in the movie is just totally retrofitted, and it's super fucking creepy. It's like everything you love about older horror movies, but with a 2000 something budget, and they really go the distance on this. They had it on Netflix for a while, but I believe that they took it off pretty recently. But I would definitely check it out. House of the Devil was one of the most impressive films I've seen in a long time. Okay, so with that list being complete, I told you guys at the end of the video I was planning on kind of giving you some really messed up movies to watch. Again, I have to specify, if you are easily affected or swayed or hurt by something graphic or crazy, like for instance, if you're just one of those people who can't do a lot of horror movies, these are not the movies for you. These are fucked up films, okay? A lot of these have been banned in several countries. Netflix refuses to carry them. Hulu refuses to carry them. You can't order them. You know, some of them obviously you can order from the internet. Some of them might be a little hard to get. So, with that being said, always make sure that you know yourself and know the people that are around you will not be negatively affected by these kind of horror movies. Now, most people have a pretty strong personality, but some people out there cannot handle it. And I stress to you, do not watch these movies if you are easily affected. They will mess your head up. Now, with that being said, Carnival Spirits takes no responsibility for your actions, and you can do what you want as a grown person. Again, if you are under the age of 18, you have no business watching these movies because they will fuck you up. So, without further ado, let's jump into my select horror movies. Alrighty then. Thanks for sticking around for the unsavory bit of the video. Now, as a horror movie connoisseur, I admit I have been pretty desensitized. I've been watching horror for a long time, and part of me went out looking for the scariest, most messed up thing I could find. I found it. And while it didn't disturb me, it's definitely some sick stuff. So, let's get started. Some of these are international, so we will see if you have any luck kind of finding them or whatever. I did. It wasn't that hard, but I definitely had to work a little bit harder for some of them. So, first up, these are not films from abroad. These are actually all from the United States. They are mostly from a production company called Toe Tag. You can look them up. They make phenomenal films. The worst one that they made actually was just a sort of demonstration for their abilities with special effects makeup, which is really cool, and it kind of just spanned into this crazy horror company that makes these ultra sick movies that people have a huge problem with. People that have heard of the rapper Sutter Kane, aka DJ Bless, NSD, have definitely probably heard of some of these movies. However, they're not really very popular otherwise. So, first up, August Underground. Second, August Underground Mortem. Murder Set Pieces, and there's, oh god, you guys, there's so many movies from Toe Tag. Just check them out, and if you like really crazy, terrible stuff, you won't be disappointed. A European film that is kind of hard to place because it was actually made in 6 different countries and shot in 2, I believe, 2 or 3, is Antichrist. Now, that's such a crazy good movie. It's not super gory for the most part, but it definitely messes with your head, and it is a weird movie. If you guys want to check something out that's kind of different, I would definitely recommend it. There are certainly some really messed up parts in it. It's got William Dafoe in it, and he's just a creepy son of a bitch anyways, but I digress. So, furthermore, coming out of Italy, a classic extreme horror film, Cannibal Holocaust. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend that you go and watch it. It's really disturbing, but simultaneously super well done. In fact, there were some scandals behind it because there were some actual killings in it, not human. And on top of that, there were a lot of speculations around the film itself. A lot of people thought that it was the real deal, and they couldn't really pinpoint it, so they didn't charge the guy, of course, but it is pretty crazy stuff, so definitely beware with the Cannibal Holocaust situation. Another really good one. Now, this isn't as disturbing, but something about this genre of horror really gets under people's skin. I'm talking about Japanese horror, and I'm referencing now the original One Missed Call. There are many Japanese films that are highly, highly disturbing, but something about their horror films are just top notch. If you haven't ever gotten into Asian horror in general, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, I would highly suggest that you check that out if you're into more of the extreme horror genres. Moving on from that, Tokyo Gore Police is another fantastic film from Japan. Now, while this is a little bit on the silly side, there are really insane situations, and it's definitely just kind of an endless bloodbath. And it's almost like a live action anime with like tons of blood and guts. It's really good and moderately disturbing, although I'll say it probably is the least disturbing on the list of these extreme movies. Let's see what else. Moving on to one of my favorite movies of all time. That's from France. French horror extremism is also really, really underrated in America, and they are crazy. I mean, they don't hold back at all. This movie is called Martyrs. It actually may be my number 1 favorite horror movie. Definitely check it out. There's a lot of plot twists and turns. I believe that you can find a dubbed version. However, I would recommend just going with the subtitles. Either way, you're gonna get a definite mindfuck from this film. It's insane. Next up, again in French horror, one of the nuttiest, and it was pretty hard to stomach, I'm not gonna lie. It's a movie called Inside. Now, this one's about a pregnant lady, so if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, you might not want to watch it. But I suggest it for those who can stomach, whatever. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, though. So last but not least on this list is the number 1 contender in horror extreme films. So this movie is one of the most messed up movies I've ever seen. Now, I personally don't know that it's the worst that I've seen, but I will say, because of its popularity in recent years, it's definitely earned its title. This movie is called A Serbian Film, and it's a Serbian film. Now, if you're easily triggered, if you've had a bad childhood, if you've had a little bit of something happening to you, you might not want to watch it because it is definitely very graphic, very realistic, and very well done. So you will believe that you're watching something that's really happening when you're watching this film. However, if you're like me and you're kind of a gore junkie and you're looking for that shock factor and you just don't get scared of the same old movies anymore, or you don't get scared at all because you just got some problems and you just don't feel a whole lot, then yeah, definitely check that out. So, without further ado, this has been my version of the weekly spirits topic. Now, let me know about your favorite horror movies and stuff down below. Comment, like, blah, 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 blah. If there's something you don't agree with, let me know. If there's something you love, let me know. We want to hear from you guys out there. So thanks for tuning in to Carnival Spirits. We'll catch you next week.